to 2015 Honda model years. See dealer for limited warranty details.
This is Charles Osgood. Give your employees the power to do their best work with new, powerfully performing Dell Latitude Business Class laptops and 2-in-1s. Now, with Windows 10, the fastest, smoothest, most secure Windows ever, your team can reduce downtime by 50% and boost productivity with 4 times faster performance and 3 times more battery life. Learn more at Dell.com/radio and discover how they can help you to do your best work. That's Dell.com/radio.
Welcome to another great edition of Younger Life. Good morning, I'm Rick Federici.
And I'm Mary Anthony.
So Mary Anthony, I am beyond excited and honored to have the next 2 ladies we are going to introduce for today's Younger Life
Absolutely.
segment.
I've been thrilled about this show because I keep thinking I'm going to take some serious notes for myself.
It's 3 against 1 today. It's the 3 lovely ladies versus Rick Federici.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, right? You know her, you love her, the hub of awesome, LaPorte Mayor Blair Milo. How are you, Blair?
Good morning. I'm very excited to be here.
This is great. And of course, you know her, you love her, community staple, Fran Milo. Hi, Fran.
Good morning.
It is so great to have everybody in this room. We made it okay, ladies, here to the studios today.
Made it just fine.
All right.
We lucked out. We missed, there's no raindrops or anything. It's just one of those, gloomy mornings, but beautiful temperature.
Love this.
You can hang on to this for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Let's start there. I'm going to go around the room. Fran, I'm going to start with you. Favorite time of the year? Is it the summer? Is it the spring? What time of the year do you like?
I truly enjoy summer because of all of the outdoor activities, but I'm also really partial to fall because I just love the turning leaves. I can live without one season of the year, which would be winter.
Yes.
If we were a 3-season community, that would be lovely.
Mayor, could you make that happen? Blair Milo.
We've filled out a request, so if the
See what
system
happens.
works, then it should be granted.
What is your favorite time of the year?
I'm going to have to go with springtime because I just love the sort of rebirth that happens then, and people I think just get nicer and friendlier because everybody just is so happy once winter is done.
I'm going to go with like a fall. I love my summers and I love spring, but when you get to that, like just pleasant 65 to 70, which you could kind of get on the other side of the year, that's me. And
That's
you, Mary?
me too. Fall is my absolute favorite. I find myself much more re-energized in fall than the rest of the year. I find myself then, and maybe it's because it is back to school time as well. I have school-age children.
Sure.
So I get excited about that. And
Real excited to get
well, not even
back
that.
to school.
Not even that, but just getting the kids, getting started again and trying to get back in the groove of things. So I love fall, and it's such a beautiful time of year. We spend more time outside in the fall than we do any other time, I think. The summer we love, of course. We have a great time in the summer. I actually enjoy winter too for a while. I don't like winter as long as it tends to hang on, but I do like winter. We love to be outside in the snow and do outside activities. Spring's, as weird as it sounds, is my least favorite. I just feel like it's very muddy, and so it's hard to get the kids in and out, and our dogs. Spring's rough. I think
Spring is dirty.
Spring is very dirty, but it does obviously yield to beautiful flowers and environment. That's for
That's
sure.
fine. Y'all can have your fall.
We can keep the fall.
I'll keep the spring for me.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Well, and I think one common thread here amongst our Younger Life Live family, which I love, is that we all are always thinking about fitness
That's
or healthy or staying in that mode year round.
Physical activity.
Yes.
Getting outside, doing different things. And it's kind of what led us to today. We're talking about goal setting is ultimately the theme for the day. And we've talked about goal setting numerous times and how important it is to success, in every aspect, whether it is physical fitness like we're talking about today or financially or education goals. You have to have goals to get anywhere, and it what kind of keeps us going. But we recently learned that Fran has set a new fitness goal for herself, and she's embarking on this journey. And I was very interested to find out a little bit more about it and kind of what led you to the goal. Can we start there?
I can start there. And I would love to tell you that this was some epiphany that came to me. And it was like, this is what I really need to do because it's the right thing for me. The honest fact of the matter is it was a birthday crisis.
Really?
I had my 65th birthday coming up.
Get out of here.
Oh, I've celebrated it. I'm past that milestone. I'm heading to 70.
That's fabulous.
Holy cow.
And we, in fact, some friends and my husband and I were in the vehicle headed to the airport to go for a 2-week cruise. And sitting in the back seat with my friend, and we said, we probably ought to do something a little healthier. We ought to challenge ourselves. We're both at this category of age. And I said, I know. I think I'll take up running. And my friend looked at me and went, really? And I said, well, yeah, maybe really, but I don't know. So literally in the car drive to the airport, we went to our phones. We started looking up apps that you could use. And I started out with the Y to 5K, which is a very friendly app. For what it literally stands to is couch to 5K. I said Y2. It's couch to 5K. C
I
to
better
5K.
write that one down.
Okay.
And it's just a program that lays out for you a regimen of how you start the running process. And I will tell you, I've never run in my life. I grew up in an era where that wasn't something that ladies did.
Yeah.
You might play tennis, which involved running. You might play basketball, which involved running, but ladies didn't go out and run. And I'm just not that good. I'm just going to
I love it. I love it. And that sounds so terrible, but I love it because that is me too. I've never been a runner, but I always think I envy that in other people that actually enjoy it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of us
true.
too that because of their former life in sports or what they have done, or just because of their body makeup, like I respect and I love the running aspect, but I find myself now at this age in the last year, I like the cycling. So for me, that's my thing.
Well, and I joked with Rick, I've said before, I only run if someone chases me. Well, my mom made the joke once that said, I've seen you run and you're stronger than that. You're better off to stand still and fight. That's what she had to say. And, only a mother can say that. Only a mother can be that honest because I am terrible.
I would like to meet your mom.
She said, you're stronger than that.
It's so cute you say it because my mom still to this day at 49 years old says, only a mother can love you, Rick Federighi. It's like, what?
That's
Come
funny.
on, I love you.
That's funny.
Blair.
I do, Fran, find it very inspiring for one that you were even led to this idea. And I love that you say it wasn't an epiphany. It wasn't something that you said, I am that determined to get out and do starting today. But so once you discovered the first site, how was your first adventure out on it?
Well, it was kind of probably a pretty interesting time to be doing it when you're going on a cruise ship.
Right.
Where the first thing that they want to do is feed you.
Of course. Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm going to take up running and healthy activities while I'm on a cruise ship. But it did work out quite well because it put me in a mindset of how to better orchestrate my day to do healthier things.
Yeah.
And I began by getting up in the morning and I would go to the gym on the ship.
Always a good start getting up. Step one.
Well, as opposed
Nailed
to maybe as opposed to staying up all night.
Yeah.
True.
So I'm with you, Rick. I do bicycling, and my husband and I love to bicycle. We just got back from Washington D.C. where we took our bicycles, and we bicycled about 50 miles in D.C.
How
See,
beautiful.
that's
That
awesome.
would be a beautiful ride too. DC's so pretty.
Yes, it was wonderful,
Wow.
and that to me is a more natural occupation and more natural physical activity.
Yeah.
So I'd start the day by doing about 30 minutes on the bike, and then I did the deck and started with this program, which is you walk 4 minutes. Well, actually, you start by doing a couple laps around it, just doing walking, and then you begin the gradual process of building up. And then we made a pact that we would not take an elevator on the ship while we were there.
Did that work for real?
It did. We did not take one elevator.
That is like, because when you're on vacation, and not to be uniqua, but let's be honest here, you're having fun.
Yeah, you're there to relax.
So totally, and I'm doing the
You know.
elevator. You know, I'm saying,
My Fitbit, I think, blew up at one point because it's going flights of stairs, 83.
Yeah. That's awesome, though. I mean, was she your friend too? Going to attempt the running as well? Then
Yes, and sadly she's kind of fallen by the wayside with the project, but I keep encouraging her.
That's all you can do.
I agree.
She's got grandkids that she ends up taking care of a lot, and you know, life happens.
That's it.
does.
It's real life.
And what you have to recognize is what each step forward in a positive manner is a positive step.
Yeah.
And maybe I really have to tell you quite honestly, this has not just been like, woo, we got this, and now I'm ready to do 5K. It has definitely been an up and down process. And
can I ask a personal question, if you
sure
don't mind me
can.
just asking, because I know this question will come up. I know for me personally, the reason I can't run, although I love it, is because at a certain point it affects my knees, or it affects me as a man. May I ask if you, at a certain point, has it hurt your legs? Has it hurt your knees? Has it, at a certain point, do you stop and say, okay, enough for today? Or I'm just curious.
Well, that is really part of my up and down process. And I would caution people, you know, they always talk about this deal about go see the doctor before you take up those physical fitness things.
We always say that.
And by the way, we're not doctors.
And that's why we have to
always
say
say that
that.
too.
And obviously, if I'm making this decision on the road to the airplane to the ship, I hadn't gone to the doctor real recently. And then I went a little while, and I began having some joint pain.
Yeah.
And what I will tell you out of this is that I was recently diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Not
that's-
stopping me.
That's
Not
amazing.
stopping
though.
me. So now we have to figure out what the regimen is that allows to go ahead with that, because the joint pain became a little bit of a problem. So we're working through that. The other thing that I developed was kind of an erratic blood pressure, and that may have something to do with the RA. Who knows? But I'm now on the lowest dose of blood pressure medicine. Keep it
Fabulous.
straight. But my running has allowed me to be off of cholesterol medication.
Wow, that's a big
Now
one.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That is.
really good.
That's
I've lost
fantastic.
8 pounds because
Wow.
of
Big
just
round of applause.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So, and our goal, we do have a goal. Blair and I are going to do a 5K together.
Oh, that'll be great.
Okay. So I want to ask Blair, because this is
Yes.
all full of questions. And by the way, if you have questions or if you want to text us in, feel free, 219-861-1632, part of Younger Life. So Blair, obviously you're all about fitness and you wrap your arms around fitness. And whether it's a Fitness Friday, whether it's running, whether it's doing the entire state, and like
Well,
92
the Tour de
counties.
Laporte, the
92
triathlon.
counties.
Yeah, and it's incredible. So
So talk a little bit about this.
Well, and it's a little funny to have you describe me in that way, that was never who I've really been. I kind of fell into this in some ways, that it was something that I started, I guess, because of the lifestyle that was necessary with the Navy, and that was my first foray into really having a regular workout schedule that I am terribly uncoordinated. So I never did sports in school. I love playing, but my mom can tell you when she was subjected to trying to attend any of the sporting outings that I was venturing into, I'm terrible. So it was not anything that I was able to do kind of in school. And then going to Purdue and starting ROTC with the Navy, that was my first entrance into working out, and then starting to include it into my lifestyle. And it wasn't really until probably when I was on active duty that I started thinking more about having it as a regular part of my routine. And then when I started doing the challenges, those didn't come until my cousin actually had this idea of doing a half marathon at Disney World. And
Oh, wow.
I'm just such a Disney freak. And I think I'd had maybe a glass of wine or something at that point. And
Or
so,
two.
yeah. And she's like, come to Disney World and we'll go do the half marathon. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. And, but it was a great challenge to get me thinking about doing something more, because it was a little more substantial than what I had done previously. I'd never done a half marathon, and I thought, well, I love Disney enough that maybe this is a cool way to get to see a lot of the park, and it was. And from that, I think I started getting a little bit of the bug of, okay, so if I've done this one, then what's the next challenge? And is it doing another half marathon, trying to do it quicker, or trying to expand upon some of the different races that I've done? And so then that starts the process of thinking about, well, do I want to do a full? And I never set out to be this super fitness person. And in fact, I'm as surprised as anybody that this seems to be what has become a big focus area for me. But I do see the difference that it has made in just my general happiness.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I've become so focused on it, is that I know that it will make people just happier.
It
That
does.
it releases those endorphins, and it's such a great way to deal with the stress that we all have. And whatever it is that's your activity, that when you start incorporating that into your life, that there's just so many more things that open up for you of being able to address situations in, I think, a more positive fashion, and you just feel better. And that's how I've kind of become such a champion for it. And then personally, I just like, as we started the show this today, of setting goals and then trying to accomplish them. And then I just get to this point that now I start setting somewhat crazy goals.
Really? That's what I was going to ask. You know, we've talked about goal setting numerous times, and say a goal should be substantial enough to make you work for it, but
Right.
still be able to reach it. I mean,
Right.
obviously you want to succeed. You don't want to set yourself up for failure. You know what I mean? And it constantly is evolving, you know, and I know one aspect is journaling, or at least documenting along the way. Do you find that helps both of you as far as goals go?
I'm not a journaler. I have often thought that I'd like to do more of it, but I just never get there.
Yeah.
I think towards maybe somewhat of a journal, what I do is Fitbit. I
Okay,
have
right.
a Fitbit, and I do have a goal of at least 10,000 steps a day.
That's awesome.
That's
a
what my
great
Fitbit goal
number.
is. Mine's charging, so it's not even.
And
That
I
is
will
always
tell
my
you,
thing.
as Blair just said about feeling better, I can tell on the days that have been low activity days,
Really?
I just don't feel as well. And you get yourself pumped up, your body works better when you're encouraging it to circulate.
Yeah.
And let's face it, that's what you do with any kind of exercise that
Absolutely.
challenges you above the normal walking along.
Absolutely.
step
You
by
know, that
step.
breathing gets your heart rate going, and you find yourself excited and don't even know why. That's why I enjoy doing 5Ks, but I walk them. It's such an exciting environment, and you find yourself rearing to go, even if it's, okay, let's jog just for, my sister and I like to do them. So let's jog just for a minute. She has better stamina than me. I pretty much go, okay, I'm good. Let's walk now. Let's walk. But it's a great time, and it's good. You're circulating. You do think better. You do think more clearly. It's just, it is any physical activity. There's so many ways too. We've talked about this so many times. It doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to even be cycling. Something that there's so many options. Find something that works for you.
I want to throw this out there. Here's a really great text for you ladies. First off, way to go, Fran, from Richard W. My sister that's 70 is running 5 and 10Ks. She loves it because she takes first place all the time, mainly because she's the only one in her age group running. But I mean,
gotta love
it's a great text, but is that what you see? Because I find too that as I get a little wiser in years, there are still people in my age group because I feel like I'm still quote unquote young and it's only a number, as my mom would say, and I love her to pieces. But do you find that your friends that are around your age, are they taking that challenge, or are they kind of, because I got friends that are my age that are frumps. That are just like, dudes, like you're not old. I'm so old. And then there's like me going, okay, I'm like rocking this one. And I'm going to go out there and do 25. What's your thought on that, Fran?
I think people really can get caught up in that numbers game in their head.
Absolutely.
And it's sort of like, well, I'm this old, I'm entitled to just sit. And I don't think anybody's entitled to just sit. And the ones, and as I think most of us gravitate to people who do like things and have those same attitudes as us. So we tend to gravitate to the people that'll go bike riding with us.
That's right. The more positive and more.
And we find that just is the basis for the friendship, is something that's an activity that we all can go share. And, let's go find a new trail. Let's go to a new town and we'll ride around and we'll go have lunch. Those kinds of activities.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to give in.
Right.
To what that age says on my driver's license, because I'm going to live life until the day I'm not living life.
That's right.
I love that attitude. Now, could you imagine Fran, Tom, Blair, a bunch of these wonderful folks joining us on our Younger Life Live rides?
Oh yeah,
This would be awesome.
And I'm going to tell you, my husband is 72. And he has as much bicycling stamina as anybody I know.
That's fabulous.
He can just ride and ride and ride. And we don't ride fabulous bikes. Our bikes are just ordinary bikes. We got a few speeds so we can go up hills.
Yeah.
But
do you participate in the Fitness Fridays?
I do sometimes. I will tell you that my schedule doesn't always work out for Friday afternoons. But I live steps away from the Kessling Walking Trail.
Oh,
Nice.
perfect.
So for me, I can go over and walk on the trail. I'm also quite happy to record some of my shows and go down on my in my basement and just get on the machine.
Yeah.
And I'll watch for an hour and a half and flip through the channels, and suddenly, I've gone 5 miles.
You watch your stories?
I do watch stories.
That's a wonderful way, though. It really is a wonderful way to get it in, and your mind's distracted while your body's still engaged, and that's nice.
It's funny because we've chatted about this, and Blair, we've talked with you on the air about this. There are times where I could go downstairs, whether it's the elliptical or in my case, it's treadmill. Because the elliptical, my wife loves it because she's using everything. Yeah. I'm on the treadmill. I could actually have a conversation. I could be watching like the news to make sure that I'm my news part of it, and I could literally be doing other things. So I could like multitask, and then that hour's gone. I'm like, right, I've burned X. Yeah. Or whatever.
You've engaged.
And the other side, and I love that you brought up the day. Our lives are all unique, all of us, on so many levels. And there was a day recently in the last week where it's been just crazy in my personal life, outside of my daughter graduating from high school, and now she's my baby going off to college, and a move, and you're trying to do a million things between what's going on in your professional career. And I came home one day and I said to Norma, I just really, and I didn't even get it out of my mouth, and this shows true soulmate. She goes, you want to go for a bike ride? And we jumped on a trail in the west suburbs of Illinois, and we literally just started riding our bikes. And the next thing I know, and I'm at 12 and a half miles on one side, total trek. We did 25 miles that day. And just like you and Tom and, a lot of us, we aren't in it because we're doing it for competitive reasons. We're doing it because it's something cool in our relationship as a couple that's been together 25 years, 30 plus years together. But we're trying to find new ways, but just the stress of life. Mm-hmm. I get into that groove and you're like, you know what? That was so wonderful. Mm-hmm. The phone is not even being touched. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
The phone is gone. It's there in case I need it for an emergency, but you know what I'm saying? That
Well, and
whole
I just
thing.
got to that point with my running too, that I had read this article about using your run as sort of your meditation
Yes.
period. And I had been one of the runners that I keep my music and it's got a good beat, gets the blood pumping. And I still occasionally will do that, but I've really gotten more into just leave the phone behind and then use it as a way to just kind of detox and
Yeah.
de-stress. And I mean, the first couple miles or so then they're always that painful because that's when you just start out, it's not fun. You got to get the muscles moving and all that. So that happens, but then you get through it and then you got this nice groove going and you can really kind of sort through some things in, I think, a healthy fashion. And then it gives me dedicated time to actually kind of do some of the just focusing on de-stressing and, just thinking through the problems that I wouldn't maybe otherwise take.
Well, it's that mental process.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you get to absorb some of the quiet, just
Right.
some of the outside. I struggle much more doing indoor, really any kind of physical. Now, I like to do some workout videos, some dance things. That's fun. Take a class. That's
Yeah.
kind of fun. But,
I love
honestly.
Zumba.
Zumba. Yes. I've
Sure.
taken a Zumba and it's fun. I've done a Zumba class. But I really like to be outside. I feel like it is just as much mental as it is physical. In those cases, I really like it. I'm curious to know, Blair, how was what was your reaction to your mom's goal, since she had set this goal actually on the way to vacation? It's not that you would have had time to chat about it. So how did you feel about it? And were you surprised or were you just really excited about it?
Well, both. I was surprised that she decided that this was something that she wanted to take on. But I think more than anything, I'm just so proud of her for wanting to do this and to say, this is something new I'm going to take on. And I'm just interested in trying this out. That I don't know that running is a common sport for people
Right.
to just decide they want to take up, particularly after they've had other sports that aren't as difficult on your joints as running can be. And so the fact that she's decided, first of all, that she even wants to do some sort of new activity, I think is awesome. And secondly, that she picks one that's it's not necessarily that natural to just fall into.
Right.
And it does take working through some aches and pains and having the ups and downs. And so I think it's just awesome, which is why I've tried to encourage her as much as possible. And part of this show being that process of then saying, I think it's tremendous that you're doing this. And I think that there's other people who would benefit from hearing some of this story and that can share in some of the experience, because I think it's just tremendous.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And one of the things I love about this, my mother, and I know she watches and listens to the show, and Mom always taught me as a young man, never tell a woman's age. So I'll just say, Mom is 75 plus. And I'll say that with the utmost respect. But it's very...
That's probably
Mom.
her.
I love you too. We'll get to that in a second. But one of the things I've noticed about my mom and her friends, and I know they listen and watch too, some of her friends are in this mode where they don't do a lot of extracurricular activities. But my mother, God bless her, she gets up every day. She does her treadmill. She does her evening walk in any kind of crazy weather. She's constantly, with her grandchildren. She's with her children a lot, and she's on the go nonstop, and she loves to golf in the summer. So that being said, for my mother's age, I'm telling you, not only is it keeping her alive, and I love her more than anything than life, but I tell her that's what will keep you going. And that's how I feel a lot of us, keep it going. There was a text, and if you don't mind, this is a personal thing, and I did not know this, so if I may, and out of the utmost respect for you, Fran, and your family, someone said, can you...
That's a strong open.
Well,
I know, that's scary. That's a little scary.
I didn't realize this because someone had mentioned that your husband had some challenges a few years ago. And that with those challenges, that, God bless Fran and her husband. I don't know if you know this, but Tom had an illness and he has worked past the illness. Way to go. So, and they had
Absolutely.
mentioned in the text, and obviously, so do you want to expand on that? Because that's got to be pretty cool, because my father, God rest his soul, no longer with us, had 3 separate heart attacks. His kidneys are what, sent him up to heaven because of the effects of the final surgery. But he had those heart attacks, and that's what I'm most worried about at this age, because my father had his first heart attack at my age right now. So you want to expand on that a little bit?
Tom just came by the 3-year anniversary of having had to have triple bypass surgery.
Wow.
No indications in his life whatsoever there was any problem until he just began tuckering out and doing a few lawns and having to stop midway and going, that's not right.
Yeah.
And then the final straw was the day that he came home at noon and said, I'm just going to lay down for a nap. And I said, oh, wait a minute. What have you done with my husband? Because this is not normal behavior. At which point I said, come on, let's get in the car. This is why you have Medicare. We go find out what's wrong. And in fact, it revealed that he had some major blockages. There's a lot of heredity going on here. There's a family history. His father had congenital heart failure. So it not totally surprising, but certainly for where he was in what seemed to be his general health, it was surprising. And we all remember that day that the doctor shows us what's going on and says, we need to do this surgery. And no, it's not an option.
Yeah.
He was amazing in his recovery process because all he wanted to do was get back to being a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that was some of what was so startling about it, is that he's always been very active and always has loved riding his bike, and is not an overweight person, has been generally somewhat conscious of, I think, the things that he eats, but it was more, I think, genetics that played a huge role for him. And so it was just very surprising for all of us that this was then this process that had to go forward. And now he jokes about that the day of his surgery, he was just walking around trying to figure out, he was just bored. And so walks into the operating rooms like, is this where we're doing it? Are we getting together here a little bit later? And I don't think that's
it is a good attitude.
the normal process, but
and in fact, it surprised the entire nursing staff that was waiting there, and they said, we've never had a heart patient walk into the OR before. He said, and I'll be walking soon, so just get this done and let's go on.
See, that's fantastic. And thankfully, you guys did pick up on those little signs, because we have done a few heart shows where that's one of the number one symptoms, and it typically goes unnoticed because it's easy to excuse away. It's easy to say we all get run down and we're all tired from just busy lives, or something does, keep you up, or you're out of the norm and you find yourself more exhausted than you are. But sometimes that is like the number one unnoticed symptom. In hindsight, they catch. In hindsight, they say, oh yeah, they were really tired a lot more often, and find themselves seeking out that nap that's necessary because they just can't keep going. That is a big sign.
I'm so glad that you brought up that, because that will help save someone's life. Exactly what you did as the wife, and obviously Blair being here as the daughter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I was there for comic relief throughout the process.
Everybody needs that. That's what we always say too. We certainly need that.
Here's something from Jackie. Jackie and Dwayne and Jenny are 3 individuals that have joined Younger Life, our team for challenges. How much weight has Jackie lost?
Jackie's lost over 35 pounds now.
And Dwayne has lost.
Well, since September, Dwayne has lost over 80. I mean, it's incredible.
And Jenny has lost an unbelievable amount. Now, we've obviously started Younger Life Live in January of this year. We started in
January, right. So Dwayne had already started his journey.
He's continuing the journey with us. So Jackie's asking, could you please ask Fran, while she is training, does she set a daily distance goal?
Right.
If so, when her knees start hurting, does she finish by walking? I have knee problems and I'm trying to run a 5K. By the way, Fran's awesome. So there you go. That's how Jackie.
Thank you. I don't set a distance goal. As I said, the 10,000 steps is kind of my barometer for
Yeah.
the day. That amounts to, depending on whether you're walking or running, you're in the 4 to 5 mile category of what you're doing. So I simply try to have that happen every day. And yes, when my knees or my joints start hurting, I walk.
Yeah,
You know, you still got to keep going. And when it gets really bad, I take a couple of acetaminophen and then I keep going.
Okay.
I wonder if you feel like knowing your body better during this process, if this is maybe what led you to discover that you have some of these health conditions.
Bingo. You
Really?
really have nailed that one, because I'm going through this training and I'm going, I just don't think this is right.
Yeah.
And I think everybody needs to know to listen to your body, as you're
Absolutely.
just saying, and
Yes.
say, this isn't normal. This isn't right. And I'm not able to progress. I've seen what she does, and I know that the training, she starts at a point, and then by the process of the training, gets her to the goal.
Right.
I'm amazed at what she does.
Certainly.
Please, and that's not just a mother talking. That's just a bystander that looks at what she puts into the fitness routine
Certainly.
in order to get to where she goes. So I was very much aware of what I was going to get into here when I said I'm going to run this 5K. And I know that she's going to like putts along with me when we get to this point that we do this. But you just got to keep listening to your
Yes.
body. And there is something that goes with the aging process. I'd like to say that, I feel just like I did when I was 21. Not quite, but close.
Yeah, yes.
for you.
And there's nothing
No,
wrong with that.
seriously, I agree.
joke all the time and have said since I was a teenager, doesn't everybody some days feel 18 and some days feel 118? It's just the truth. It's normal. Your body is, everything takes a toll. So, I mean, it's certainly, you're going to have better days than not. But I'm curious for you, have you been surprised by your body's reaction and response to this? Have you felt yourself progress? Even just knowing your body better, that's already a progression in itself. But have you been surprised by your own body's response to your training?
I generally, for the most part, other than what I've described about, feel better,
Yeah,
feel more
good.
positive,
Right.
feel more alive, shall we say. And I think that those are really good consequences of making that commitment to do it. And the kind of things that reinforce you. You get up the next day and you go, gosh, I'd like to feel like I did yesterday. So I guess I'll do that again.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good
Mary
to-
says that every day when she's with me. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
do. I have a
Spaz,
great
get 'em
time
outta
here. I love it. I do. I
love
love
our
it.
energy.
Yeah,
I want
it's a
to
great
ask
thing.
now. Here's the side step. So now we've played with a little fitness routine. You've got yourself in this cool Fran mode. Now, have you tweaked or changed, if you don't mind me asking, your food intake?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because that for me, as I try to stay away from breads, sugars completely, here and there, I'm just very curious about now, how does that work? Have you played around with your helpings? Do you eat little? Because everybody's like, oh, Rick, you got to eat, more times a day, but smaller, samples or smaller pieces, for lack of a better word.
Blair's really been a good influence on our family because when she eats really healthy. So I think that I've been listening to these things that she's been doing. And obviously, when you've had somebody in the family that's had a heart procedure, there are things the doctor tells you need to do. So for the most part, we've really eliminated red meat a lot from our diet. We do a lot more fresh vegetables. The hard part for us, and I keep thinking that this is what I'm gonna. We love pasta, so I just carb load. I'm telling myself that I just carb load.
And so what would that mean? So for the average listener or viewer out there, when you're saying I'm going to carb load, what? You just kind of in moderation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You don't have the spaghetti plate that heaps. And you don't do it every day.
Certainly.
Right.
You give yourself a grace period between your pastas.
Yeah. But you can't give up what you love either. And that's a great point.
And that- Yep.
You have to do it. I love that you say that because we get guests sometimes that I'm like, whoa, you totally like change, they'll change everything about their lifestyle. And I think that's fabulous. We talked to a young couple who were awesome, Steve and Lydia. They were at a cookout literally eating big old burgers off the grill and discussing a documentary that they went home and watched and decided we're literally turning vegan from this point. Now,
Oh my goodness.
they literally changed everything. And I said, to me, that's a huge culture shock. I don't understand how you ever stick to something like that. I don't understand that kind of willpower, because I certainly lack in that area where that's concerned. So I love that your take on it is very, very good. Yes, especially knowing that your husband's heart issue needs to be addressed. Everything needs to be reevaluated and kind of tweaked. But you still have what you love. You're still, you're not going to let those things
And wait, let's be for the record here, because we have talked about this before. When we decided to take on the show, we met each other for the first time. And, all the folks that are behind it, the production team and the executives, I said, guys, I'm a real dude.
Me too.
And I looked at him like, hey, I like
Yeah,
this.
I have
And
to be real about it.
Tell you if we like something, if we try something. Like yesterday, Mary Anthony brought in these awesome desserts that were 90 calories and less, and they were super healthy. Fresh strawberries with basil, pineapple with chipotle peppers.
It was
phenomenal.
popsicles. Like they were actually like fruit bars
Yeah.
But
with
healthy.
recipes we had seen that were supposed to be healthier, and they're very satisfying for desserts. It was a Weight Watchers article I had stumbled upon, and so
So she made them all for
I
us.
said we're gonna try these.
And I love
so
every
instead of
one of
making
them.
full popsicles, we just made them in little ice cubes. But there were 5 different flavors, and they were fabulous and very, very good for you and very health conscious. So I mean that was fun, and I'm not experimental when it comes to the kitchen or cooking. But I can read a recipe and do it. I'm good at following directions.
But we
So,
also know that
something that
Dwayne, one of our challengers,
Yes.
because of Steve and Lydia, they were talking about how they don't eat, obviously, meat, but they went and had these carrot type hot dogs. Explain
They're
that.
very experimental, and they do things that I think I can't hardly fathom what they do. But they had stumbled upon a recipe for carrot dogs as like hot dogs, but you prepare these carrots in a certain way. They marinate overnight or something. And our challenger Dwayne is very experimental himself, and so he
did
had
it
a
for us. I
challenge one
wouldn't do
time. He said, "I'm going to make these hot dogs and try them," and he was not crazy about them. They both enjoyed them, and he said that will be a recipe he deletes. He doesn't have any more need for that.
So, Mary, he will delete that.
He has no further need for that recipe.
Claire, Fran.
but it's just, again, we're all about trying new things and stepping outside of that comfort zone, which is why I think, Fran, your story is so inspiring that you set a goal that is outside of your comfort zone. It's nice. I like to bike ride too, although I wouldn't jump to 100 miles or something. I love to bike ride and I really enjoy that. But again, the running is certainly would be a challenge. So I applaud you there for stepping outside of that comfort zone, because that's really hard to do anyway. It's hard to do in any aspect, but especially when you're talking physical activity.
Well, we
It's
do
really
have to
tough.
talk about one thing that's really nuts and bolts.
Sure.
Please.
And one of the things that happened during those first 2 weeks that I'm on the cruise, I'm texting back and forth to Blair, and I'm giving her progress reports, and she's going, "Yay, Mom!"
That's it. Everyone needs that cheerleader.
Claire. Woo!
And then at some point, I really began having some calf issues and some issues in my upper leg. And I reported this to my trainer here.
Yeah.
And she said, "What kind of shoes are you wearing?" And I said, "Shoes. They got laces. They got tread on the bottom. Shoes."
And they were a
My
good
gym
price.
shoes.
Gym shoes. And they were a good price.
They were great. That's
Because
me.
he
They were
knows
good
me
price.
already. She said, "Stop. Wait. You don't keep pushing this, because I'm going to tell you that your problem right now is your shoes."
Really?
And I got back from that. And one of the great things is that this has created some girl time for
Yeah,
us,
absolutely.
which we don't often have because she's so busy. So we went shoe shopping and went to a store. Oh my gosh, I never knew there were running stores where they have you get on the treadmill. This was fun.
That's neat.
It was such an interesting experience that
Really?
I felt like our roles had reversed here.
Yeah.
That she's in the store. She's like, look at all the colors.
Yeah.
Can we get some? And like, these are too quiet. We
Yeah.
need brighter shoes.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're going to fit you first.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be able to go through what your choices are amongst the shoes that are
Yeah.
going to fit what your needs are. But I like these.
That's
I
funny.
like this color.
And you're like, okay, honey, calm down.
Hold
on.
Just wait. Stop running.
Yeah.
Get back here. Get back here.
Don't go for the light up shoes. Stop. Yeah, I know. I totally get that. I love that. I love that.
So do I.
And what a nice bonding experience, really. You know.
Seriously.
It was
How
actually
fun.
her birthday that day too, and so
Oh.
we were having a birthday celebration for her.
How fun. I think it's great. Has it, Blair, inspired you to set a new goal for yourself or any other goal? It doesn't have to be a physical fitness goal, but just because knowing your mom stepped so far out of that comfort zone, did it get, you obviously thrive with goals. So did you say, ooh, when you mentioned a crazy goal earlier, did this kind of inspire you to say, ooh, I've got to set a new one and it might be a little bit bigger?
I don't know that this one specifically has, but I would say certainly her influence in my life has been a big part of being the goal setter that I am. And so while this one may not have specifically changed anything for me, I've certainly seen her set goals throughout her life and then my life, and that has been a thing that then I wanted to incorporate. As far as then whatever is the next crazy goal, I've had a few of those moments in the pool now that I start thinking about what's the next one, and then I am thinking, no, don't do this. This is why you stop doing marathons. That I stopped doing marathons because it was so hard on my joints, and I said that this is enough. I don't want to do any of these anymore. So then I started doing triathlons because of that. I was
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Unreal. That's crazy.
Crazy.
I was like, well, let's just add some activities ahead of the run, and that'll be the way that we expand the challenge. But so I did the half Ironman, and so some people have said, okay, so the next progression is to do a full. I've watched the videos of some of these and it gets me all jazzed up of like, yeah, I want to do this. And then I start thinking, no, this is why you stop doing marathons, that you don't want to do a full marathon anymore, let alone a century bike ride and then some and a 2.4 mile swim. But I like the challenge of goals. And I mean, with even doing the half Ironman, it was one of, I'm not even sure I can do this. And the night before, in fact, I hope that this is a helpful story for some folks, of that I was psyching myself out completely. That I was like, I've not done all of these activities all at once to know that I can actually do this. And so I couldn't get to sleep at all that night beforehand. And then I'm, of course, in the vicious cycle of, well, but you need to get some sleep, so you need to go to sleep. But then I'm stressed out, and so I can't make it happen. And I finally ended up recalling a line in a book that I had read that was about this concept of just saying, whatever your will is to keep going just has to be stronger than whatever's telling you to quit. And I finally got to the point that was like, I can do that. I'm just stubborn enough to be able to say, yeah, I can do that. And so that was what allowed me to finally even get to sleep that night before doing what was absolutely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Really?
But now having that in the rear view, it makes me think, okay, well, so you did that. So what's next? And so
What type of what is all included with that whole race that you were just chatting about?
So
the Ironman. or the half
this was a
Ironman.
half Ironman.
Half Ironman.
And it was a 1.2 mile swim in open water. And so that we did in...
That's intimidating is what that is. It isn't just the swim, it's knowing the open water.
Right.
That's scary.
And I did this on May 21st in Morse Reservoir. So the water temperature that day was 60 degrees.
Oh. I love swimming, but man, 60 is...
So the first third of the swim, I was okay mentally, but because of the physical reaction of my lungs to then the coldness of the water, I had a wetsuit on and everything. So I'm okay mentally, but my lungs won't breathe more than...
Yeah. Makes me breathe hard thinking about it.
Right. And so and then a wave would come over my face, and then I'm like... Okay.
Oh.
Keep going. You just kind of settle into it. So then it was a 1.2 mile swim and then a 56-mile bike ride, although my bike odometer said it was about just shy of 58. And then a 13.1 mile run.
Oh my gosh. And that's
Honestly.
a half.
That's a half.
Now I got to tell you, I was there when she came across the finish line, and I've seen this reaction before, and I know what's coming because she crossed the finish line. She takes the water bottle and she literally just throws it on
Yeah.
top of her head and then says, "This was the worst idea I've ever had."
Yeah.
At
that's
that moment.
real.
At
That
that moment.
Right.
And,
I get it.
And I just, I know that it's like only a brief period of time before she goes, wonder what I'm going to do next.
Yes. Or
Is
that
how
was so
it is?
fun. What?
Yes. Is
What am I
is
gonna
that
do?
how you feel though? At that moment, I'm just curious. I'm right into your mind. You're going, oh, what made me do this? But then, are you literally flipping that quick, or within a time period where you're like, what am I going to do next?
Well, this one was actually
Which is cool.
interesting for me in that, and even when I do half marathon runs now, I usually have some recovery time afterwards that I'm limping a little bit because it's a tough run. For whatever reason, I was able to bounce back pretty quickly on this
Really?
one.
She was
And-
walking the next day, and I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
Because I thought after all of that, that
Yes.
surely
Certainly, your body
Exactly.
needs time to.
The wear and tear.
When we were actually down at my godparents, so I ended up going tubing the next day.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow, really?
And so because of that odd recovery time, I started thinking, that wasn't so bad. And then you go through,
That's crazy.
and
I
I'm
want
just,
on my team.
I know, no kidding. I'll be the
This was
cheerleader. You
awesome.
go for it. I'll see you
I'll
now.
be the DJ host. Go Blair! Go
Yeah.
Blair!
well, and I got to this point too that I think what allowed me to be successful during that duration of an event was just knowing, okay, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Like, this is what's going to happen. It's going to take a long time, and you're just going to keep at it. And I think if I can have that mindset, then that, and whatever the goal is, then I say, this is what we're doing today. And
Yeah.
it's not going to be acceptable to not do it. And so my two goals that I had set for myself with this half Ironman was to finish and not die.
And you did both.
I did both.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. I speaking of the goals, the 5K goal that you would like to do together, do you actually have a race in mind, or is it just open-ended right now while you're...
we've kind of gone back and forth. As I've said, it's been ups and downs. And
Certainly.
So, you've set a time frame when you're going to do it, and it gets pushed back a little bit. I'm going to say, and I haven't actually said this to you, but I think that the September is going to be when we're going to make this happen. But one of the things that we have had to look at is, what's the bling you get for the...
These are
doing
important
the-
questions
Yeah.
to
Yes,
ask.
it is
What kind of
important
hardware are we
question.
going to get out of
is
this?
the bling?
You have to have a
like
reward
that.
you're working towards.
Right.
That's one of the keys to goals too.
If I'm going to do this once in my lifetime, I want to have a good piece of bling that I'm going to celebrate for having
What
done
would
I
make
love
you
it.
most happy?
Right.
big and shiny.
Okay, I like.
Well, and it's been fun having the discussions about this. The first one she came up with of the race that she wanted to do was one of these inflatable 5Ks.
Which is-
that's a thing.
What is?
Yeah.
Wait, what is that?
And so the entire course is on one of these blow up things, and then it has some little obstacles throughout it that make it fun. And so I'm like, well, I'm in. Understand that I think this is going to be harder.
Yes, you're
than
creating more.
Oh yeah.
your normal 5K. But if that's what you want to do.
Well, I sort of came out of that period of my life. And said, maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
But I loved it that she sends me the link. I was like, yes.
That would be
like
fun.
a blast.
It would be fun, and if that's the goal ultimately. I did a Dirty Girl a mud run, and it was a lot of fun. It was for breast cancer awareness, great cause anyway, and primarily women and women of all ages, by the way. So it was really, really cool and fun. But the obstacles were different, and I didn't really consider how nasty we would be at the end of it. And they said there would be showers.
Here we are again.
They said there would
Yeah.
be showers. I mean, they said there would be showers, but also didn't tell you it was going to be straight up cold water, hose in a tent with all the other women. You're like,
Right.
oh, well, okay. I really
Super.
didn't expect
You
that.
get a big blanket.
Yeah,
I'm coming
it was
home in the car.
only girls, my sister and my best friend and I, the three of us did it. But it was a great time. So I think that there is definitely something to say about those races as well. But they are harder, I would imagine, than your typical. Just go for it.
Minute left. Final thoughts from you, Fran, if you wouldn't mind, please.
I really just want to encourage everybody it doesn't have to be take-up running. It doesn't have to be anything as a super spectacular type of competition, but just stay active because it just makes you feel better.
Blair, what's your thoughts?
Couldn't say it any better than that I think that whenever anybody takes up some new activity, then it just makes you happier. And that's why we wanted to come and share some of the things that we're working on to hopefully encourage folks to look into whatever it is that they may be interested in. And we'd love to be able to champion all of your efforts too, because I think that the more we do that, then the happier we make people.
I'm Rick Federici.
I'm Mary Anthony.
Have
Thank
a
you
great
so
day.
much for
Thank
coming.
You guys.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it.
I'm going to look up this couch to 5K. I'm going to look that up.
AM 1420, WIMS, Michigan City, a Girard Media Company station.
CBS News. I'm Steve Kathan. A day after Hillary Clinton went on the attack, Donald Trump is returning fire. We're live with CBS's Stephen Portnoy.
Speaking right now at his hotel in Soho, Trump is delivering a speech in which he called his opponent a world-class liar who's enriched herself by virtue of the offices she's held.
Hillary Clinton has perfected the politics of personal profit and even theft.
Clinton at this hour is meeting privately with House Democrats here at the Capitol, a session aimed at strengthening party unity. She intends to blast Trump in a speech in North Carolina later today. Steve?
When he announced his run for president, Marco Rubio indicated he'd retire from the Senate, win or lose. He's been long out of the GOP race. Now Rubio says he will seek re-election to the U.S. Senate in November. A man who says he had a gay relationship with Orlando gunman Omar Mateen suggests revenge was a motive for the mass killing 10 days ago. The man who disguised his name, voice, and face in a Univision interview says Mateen feared he might have contracted HIV from a Puerto Rican man.
And I really think all his angers, he hates gay Puerto Ricans for all the bad things they do to him.
Most of the nightclub shooting victims in the Pulse Club were Puerto Ricans. Michigan's Attorney General has filed suit against a water company and engineering firm accusing them of causing and worsening Flint's water crisis.
Veolia and Land were hired to do a job and failed miserably, basically botched it. Didn't stop the water in Flint from being poisoned. They made it worse.
Attorney General Bill Schuett, the companies have not commented on the lawsuit. Social Security trustees say recipients can expect a 0.2% increase in monthly benefits next year. A lot of scientists keeping an eye on some space junk today, a cargo ship tumbling to Earth with trash from the space station inside. CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood.
The scientists want to learn more about how spacecraft break apart so they can make them tougher and perhaps someday even make spacecraft that can re-enter the atmosphere without having to slow down with retro rockets, and also just to make spacecraft generally safer.
Cleveland is celebrating the NBA title-winning Cavaliers with a parade and rally.
I want to see LeBron, and that's it.
I never seen a championship, and I'm 52 years old.
I can't believe it.
It's the first major pro sports title in Cleveland in 52 years. Rory McIlroy, one of the top golfers in the world, will skip the Rio Olympics because of concern about the Zika virus. Paul McGinley heads up the Irish team set to compete at the Games.
Ireland will regroup and we'll take a new player will take his place and we'll go down as a team to represent Ireland and golf in the Olympics.
Wall Street right now, the Dow is up 76 points. NASDAQ ahead 25. Winner of the Edward R. Murrow Award for Best Newscast 4 years in a row. This is CBS News.
30-year fixed rates are in the threes, the lowest they've been in nearly 3 years. And property values are coming back, which means more homeowners can refi even if they couldn't before. I'm Dan Smith with Private Plus Mortgage. This is a fantastic time to refi and save money no matter what you want to do. Lower your payments, get cash to remodel, pay off credit cards, pay off that mortgage sooner, and let Private Plus pay your closing costs. We'll show you your options. So, even if your rate's in the fours, find out how much you can save with 30-year fixed rates in the threes. Call Private Plus Mortgage today. 888-220-6200. Refi or purchase. 888-220-6200. Private Plus Mortgage.
Private Bank of Buckhead, 3 Piedmont Center, Atlanta, Georgia, 30305. Actual terms may vary. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, and MLS number 758-195. Call toll free for credit costs and terms.
There's a fresh look at the state of the American housing market. Here's CBS's Heather Bosch.
The housing market is gaining strength, but home ownership is still down from nearly 70% in 2004 to under 64% last year. Millennials are taking longer to get into homes, and
I think the biggest hit age-wise, kind of the Gen X generation of 35 to 45-year-olds, they got hit on both ends.
Harvard researcher Daniel McHugh says they were slow to enter the market and were hit hard by foreclosures. Now, tight credit and a lack of homes coming onto the market are deterring many from buying. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
Dennis Hastert's home for the foreseeable future will be a prison cell in Rochester, Minnesota. The disgraced former House Speaker will report there later today to begin serving a 15-month sentence. He violated banking law in a hush money case over his sexual abuse decades ago. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
At Walgreens, getting diabetes testing supplies with Medicare Part B is a walk in the park. Really, because getting what you need is quick and easy, giving you more time for other things. There's $0 out of pocket on all major brands like Freestyle and Walgreens True Metrics, and no extra paperwork. So managing diabetes becomes a stroll down Easy Street, or a trip to the movies, or even a day at the beach. Talk